which means the chances of it hatching itakuwa very low. For instance, mimi mwenye naunda machine ndo nita program kwa hiyo regulator the required amount of temperature that is required kwa hiyo machine. So nikisha regulate na iset na naiprogram inabaki kiwa hivyo. So hiyo regulator itasaidia kwa sababu tunatumia bulb kwa hii incubator. Temperature ikifika certain level inajizima, ikiteremka at certain level inajiwasha. So for the farmer who has this type of machine, kazi yake tu ni kuturn mayai na kuongeza maji peke yake, hiyo peke yake. But about the regulation of temperature, it's automatic. Since the shape of this ni a bit circular ya hii karai yangu natumia, hapo ndani apart from the bulb tuko na fan. Sasa hiyo fan, hiyo bulb ikiwaka, kazi hiyo fan inasaidia ina distribute hiyo heat equally evenly kwa machine, kwa sababu kwa hiyo machine hizo mayai zimesit on the mesh, zimesit on that plastic mesh. So hiyo joto ilikuwa provided from the bulb, hiyo fan yenye iko juu yake ina distribute your heat, so inamaanisha ita concentrate the heat iende kwa mayai, then ikiteremka hapo chini inapatana na hiyo maji. So ikipatana na hiyo maji na at least ina somehow vaporize hiyo maji, inarudi na juu. So that's how the complete circulation of that process. Kwa hii incubator tuko na pots, tumeweka mashimo za ventilation. Kwa the upper part tume drill something circular that will help to provide that circulation of air. Alafu kwa the lower part we have 2 holes yenye tumedunga at least inasaidia ku provide that ventilation to the machine. So apart from kwa hii machine, seme if you purchase this machine, the guarantee that it will stay for long I assure you that ina last for long. Since these components yenye nimetumia kwa kuunda hizo machine za around 12 volts there. So unapata sana hizi ma components za 12 volts unapata ni ngumu iblow haraka kwa stima. Na most of it what kenye huwa tu inaharibika kwa hii machine sana ni bulb. Hiyo bulb ina blow after a period of maybe 2 months there, for 2 months, around 2 months, 3 months, you change the bulb. That's what itaharibika kwa hiyo machine. But in case iharibike before that period, huwa napeana at least 3 months hapo, 3 months kwa mtu mwenye amenunua. Alafu in case iharibike for that period of time, I'll be able to change, nikupe a new machine, then unitumie back that machine ni repair. So about the hatchability of the eggs kwa hii machine yangu ni 85%, 85 to 90%. Now ndo what will help you kenye itasaidia nini yako iache vizuri. Now it depends with your eggs. Now kila kitu ikiwa constant, that is the fertility of the eggs should be constant. Now the days hiyo tangu hiyo mayai itagwe na kuku ifai kuwe imekaa more than 7 to 10 days ndio uweke kwa machine. Alafu kitu ingine, au makuku wako au kuku wenye umewafuga nyumbani, at least unaangalia ratio ya mwera na jogoo ndio ujue the fertility of the egg. Hakuna venye utakuwa na jogoo moja na mwera 20 na ukue sure that hiyo mayai ni fertile. It means kuna some of the eggs hapo haitakuwa fertile. So if ukimaintain hizo ratio ya jogoo to mwera which is almost 1 to 6, around 1 to 6, ikienda sana 1 to 10, ukimaintain hizo ma limits, alafu kuna hiyo stima ikipotea, ukimaintain hizo vitu kama stima, the type of egg yenye umeweka kwa machine na stima isikusumbue, at least you will be able to achieve that above 85%. But about the issue ya stima, kwa sababu kuna hiyo cases ya maybe unapata stima imepotea like maximum of 6 hours hapo, hii machine inaweza withstand only 3 hours of electric. Stima ikipotea inaweza kaa at least 3 hours, but stima ikipotea iki-exceed hiyo 3 hours, what I always advise the farmer mwenye amepurchase the machine, anaweza chukua maji moto, warm water ama moto kabisa, achemsha maji moto, amweke kwa kibuyu ya at least half a liter, afunge hiyo maji alafu aingishe kwa the lower part of the machine. At least hiyo maji itasaidia ku maintain that temperature tukingojea stima irudi. At least hapo ukifanya hivyo, at least chances yako ya kupoteza mayai yote itakuwa low, kwa sababu that was your investment. So penye unaweza place sitting room, it depends with you now and the discipline of your children. Unaweza ka sitting room anywhere penye tu unaweza kuwa unaiobserve wewe mwenyewe, kwa sababu haina kelele, ni iko silent. Hiyo fan yenye nimetumia ni brushless, so iko silent. Inaweza kaa sitting room anywhere, so that at least utakuwa able kuona. Unajua ukiwa nayo you will be able to see kama ina function. Unaweza kuwa umeweka mahali penye stima hata ikipotea hauta realize kama inawaka ama haiwaki, or maybe ukiweka anywhere kuna this kwa hiyo controller, if in case mtoto aenda afinye ata change settings kwa hiyo machine. But what I have done to solve that issue, nime block that settings. Sasa ndio ikuwe tu ni mimi peke yangu ndio nimeprogram hiyo machine, so that ukipata penye huko, in case mtu afinye hakuna any changes yenye ita take place. So what I could advise my fellow youths, that anything that uko nayo, any idea yenye uko nayo kwa any idea about it can be anything. Si lazima ikuwe incubator, you can have any type of project, kwa sababu kwa institutions we are being taught a lot of things. So from those institutions kuna some groups of people wenye mta combine so that we can form up innovations. Kuna innovative clubs, you can at least join those clubs, na from those clubs at least at least you will have something that you will stand for it. For example, mimi back at that college yenye niko, that is Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology, kuna hii group ya innovations yenye nilijoin immediately after nimemaliza high school, nikajoin hiyo college na nikajoin that group of innovative clubs. Now because I had the idea for incubation, shule ilinisaidia ku brighten my idea in a way that I was able to present this idea to the community around the institution na wakaipenda. So with that hiyo morali yao, at least nikakuwa able ku produce incubators na nikawauzia. So with that naweza advise youth wenye maybe wako nyumbani, at least kama uko na idea of anything, at least use that idea for your own good. Usiende ukafanya vitu yenye haiwezi kusaidia, kwa sababu at least mimi what I can say about this incubator, ina generate income, but at least some income yenye inaweza ni maintain, na tena hiyo income ndio inasaidia ku start up a poultry farm. Kenye ilifanya nikae kwa hii incubator ndogo hii yenye inabeba maximum capacity of 38 eggs, kwa sababu itasaidia hao young farmers, kwa sababu itakuwa affordable for the young farmers, na tena I can be able to extend it ikuwe kubwa, but now the problem is nikiextend ikuwe kubwa, finding the market for that big incubator itakuwa ngumu, kwa sababu si kila mtu atataka kuenda kwa, unajua kuna hiyo poultry farming, kuna extensive system na kuna hao small scale farmers. So hii machine ndogo at least inasaidia hao small scale farmers, au at least wako na kuku 10, 20 ku maintain au kuku wao. At least ukiwa na hii machine ndogo hii yenye inabeba mayai 38, you will be sure that after every month you can be able to hatch your own chicks. After every month uko na faranga zako, or even at any given time you can be able to hatch your own chicks, kwa sababu si lazima utegemee kuku alalie ndio ukuwe na faranga. Now that's why unaweka hiyo mayai kwa machine, ita provide that those chicks after that 21 days, and now hiyo itasaidia ku keep hiyo nini yako ikue constant, that poultry farming ikue constant. Saizi si tuko bado we are still young farmers, kwa sababu hii farm tulianzisha around hapo 2020, hii poultry farm. Huwa tuna hatch chicks tukiuzia wakulima chicks. Tuna advise farmers on how to rear the chicks. Now maybe after 5 years we hope that we could be the best suppliers of chicks around huku Kenya na around our country. At least watu to notice that we do supply the chicks. What I can ask the government is that wa promote young innovators. at least kuna these forums that at least nowadays wana to promote us as young farmers that hakuna haja mkulima aenda apurchase incubator ya mayai 64 the China made incubator, while hapa Kenya kuna mtu anaweza unda the same incubator. You provided that hiyo incubator ina perform the same function with that of the ones imported, at least we can promote our young youth to purchase from them those incubators. About this incubation, utapata kuna mtu amekutext umepost, unajua huwa na post hizi incubator na post kwa Facebook kwa our group inaitwa Kiplels Farm. So utapata kuna some of the youths ama individuals wanakuuliza venye inaundwa, at least after sometimes nawaeleza na take step by step on how to make one, but what I advise them to do was to the same with mine, kwa sababu this is my innovation. Actually nimeipatent innovation in a way that hakuna venye mtu anafaa copy paste what I innovated, but what you can do, you can still unaweza jiundia yako mwenyewe using another type of material, or you can ask for help on how you can fabricate yours. I can assist. If you are to buy this incubator kama unataka kuuza, ukibuy maybe if you purchase na 3500 na uweke mayai inabeba maximum 38 eggs, but the maximum carrying capacity inaweza beba around 34 eggs. If you can be able to hatch at least 27 chicks, and that 27 chicks, a day old chick ina cost 100 shillings. Na ukitimes that 27 times 100, that is 2700. At least if you are to buy that incubator for the purpose ya kuuza hao chicks, at least within two hatching period utakuwa umerudisha that amount that you used. Na if ulikuwa umebuy incubator for your own benefit, maybe ikumaintainia au kuku wako, at least it's cheap. That price iko affordable kwa wakulima.
Purno mwangi arapo akae kasi ne ba I'm a beautician, kasi ne nyugo asalsiyo ga jepsume ami Eldoret CBD got ne Glen Kim Plaza second nyo jali an kamagut kiga sa Glen kamagut kigicho Glen Sambut Kapsongoro lakini kagojo lakini onyoko Kapsongoro yun agaji tane ko singishu yurna mwangi anendet lakini mama nanyu ko Nandi at baba nanyu ko Kapkogolin mwangi ko mix ne ba Kalenjin na Kikuyu lakini ya menyi ne olito kigisicho olito to mango da wendi lim pasero gitu ala sige mai central lakini to ma wendi loto lakini hapa yuto anendet ya tao ne school in Sambut primary school atia we Cherame atia we Kamagut high school atia nyo ngatar Kamagut nyo awe college in Nairobi ne Glen Pivot Point ngalek Jibalele statia net ke ngalek Jibalele sta so nitokia nyo ito ata gasi nitonga ngalek Jibalele sta ke interest gitu interest kia nyo interest kijame agere dikwa gasi nitong town ale ngale muja tao ya jengi nafasi usie ya jengi nafasi ne ba gasi agaro kasi nito ko sawa muja tao nito agi unique kasi this needed kimi gitu na gilen monopoly alen ka tao nito ko si ko ba siya nyor tu ingen ki ko to ma colleges ki ji se jo to ki jang ki nyalilis nda sa di ba ko miginga tabaro anyo tao ni ba red koro I used to sell earrings ale caps jamaa hawking ya hoka ina generally amu my fathers wengine walikuwa wanafanya hawking so kinyo atau ngalete ba hawking agine alenga tau ne yuto sangi ngaba walo gwa di class ni valele sa muja ya agine aga anyo interest so awe college in Nairobi Pivot Point after 6 months awege ya so ginganyo ne ulito atau street awendi from salon to salon asale big so konyoru big interest gane aga atau no to gase nenyo aja kiasal jisiyok hinga asal jisiyok bwana kijamel ale achaja ni 50 shillings kucham kabisa madam yanda na wale hang so giye gu maja visa asale siyok ko chame big kazi nenyo ne kipata kabisa ko siyok kabisa jiata ingen kiawe baro kako jang kako demand lenga tau kidogo atau ajeng a small space and you ba click karibu gilen prime chick mi kordo gitu ki mingin kordo gitu ni kiami gogo no jito samo ya ki ande ana maliko nantosha me and just one client so ata une auto komu tu kunyo go grow and demand ajeng a bigger place in Sari yun ele kian atau employee Victor kia employee like 2 or 3 kujanga demand sa hanyo itu ngasa di sing street kila jito biro mwangi sa ingin gitu mana kimande vision gole egu this big business will become this big lakini nggak tahu koguro big mwangi kila jito guro so nggak tahu salu nale kamwangi yuk aku egu na kainet gimana dia na option kami awal kainet tuh awal lagi program nih mana ebi ka mwangi yuk tapi sa giko na itu bigu na ingin gitu nih bare aja picture bagus tuh bisa aja kan kia gitu nih gilen poor planning mag savings ane kia lanan ngalek coba savings nih sing kita ginga tahu gak sih nyu onggen gak usah kia deh plan biasa nih nyu kia meje I always want to grow my business ganyo risling kidogo 7 June kidogo aga baisha June kidogo so jiki ya 7 kidogo ganyo opportunity bakote alvan ko taga riskin I took a risk aga tahu my way amul ngi planani nyende rahisi goma mi planning kum mami kijebe siyo lela stage tool kapsa ke jebe aje kungete sumega siyo skin facials massage yani anything ne valela stage jebe aje again mami gitu makia gimaj anything angol ke tilsume ke kinyozi me yuto kamongi agaya ga si shekyo tula nende ne ay ga si na ane ki masoman chingale chiba skin missing kya soman patli lakini ingen guguren chitong gitao kasi ta ko guguren kasi da ijenge big professional chi un kasi no da dermatologist ngale chiba skin and specialist ya kasi chiba skin go ngale chiba sumek kya jeng specialist ne sumek go ngale chiba ne and specialist kenyi shek kya tahu sai kigo improve kigo naite big sasa meje big chepa gutis kapsa konyo poe gasi nito kinga jenge big chai gasi kima go me big chai gasi so ata school ane ale ngane big changin gasi angan ta school siane big gasi nito so kya ta school go me big kya ne school ne yo aga employing my salon alagi go ka pota ta si jekwa so me that's what I do mi Mwangi's Institute of Cosmetology chegine TV ngalek palele statul sige nyorbe amu giro giolin angon giolin baite ni welin ba so ya nanano mi kasishek lakini mami biik cheyoe kasishek ako mi biik chemwoe kole mami kasishek. Sasa kiatau kasinito kiatau anetishe sikonai biik kasinito sikotau kasi we self employ ourselves amu makomi white collar jobs is let me empower our own people. Anyoru biik che both male and female ako biik kabisa, yani chang biik chemeche konetkei kasinito amu alen kokeyai research market kele ngumi market ang ngitau nginyo yutok inetkei kamwangi straight inyoru kasi much itau kasi neng'ung amu sukul nenyo we are skill based, kiyae ng'alek chebo skills kabisa. Makimeche kenai ng'alek chebo somanet neng'ung lakini kito nekimeche kenai ko skill, we are empowering you on skill based. Si ngimong yutok iwendi olin i-sure. Motivaten biik chechang chebo kutit kobwa koyai kasinito. Ako kobwa chang nia, ngiro around 40-60% aigen mi 90% ki ladies ako 10% ki men, but nowadays it is around 40-60, and alen men are more, they are more creative. Sai ngiro alen kora kito nekile much ale anendet ko achek mel achek chikitau kasinito kokemotivaten biik chechang chebo kutit kobwa koyai kasinito. Ako kobwa chang nia, ngiro around 40-60% aigen mi 90% ki ladies ako 10% ki men, but nowadays it is around 40-60, and alen men are more, they are more creative. Sai ngiro angot biik chebo kutit kokotau kobwa kokoyan kole kazi ni kazi. Makomeche kilen kimeche kazi nebo white collar job anan kazi nebo murenik chito anan chepyosok nito. Ae biik kasinito ako kokoro biik, there is nothing, there is no omen on this. Ae chi age tugul kasi tai at the end of the day inyoru tuguk maybe tipping center ihangan kulo mami kasi ni yai.
My name is Albert Zawadi from Mwangi's Institute of Cosmetology, taking beauty. What motivated me to take this course is the normal stereotype that men are not supposed to be here. And as I've gone on forward, I've realized that the job market accepts more men because ladies prefer to be tended by more men. So after this course, it's a skill-based course. You can also start your own salon, your own parlor. It's straightforward process, not a job market to look forward to so much. You can also start your own business.
Aje ki handle in any kind of a situation. Mami jito negilen ingen education wa Kenya kigilen jito ngo menyoru marks che kararan ukaibut, lakini maya ni ngale juu jota kanenda. Mami jito nekibut ing maisha. Gibut ing school magilen kaibut ing maisha. Life is different from school. So nginyo yutok makimeche gradishek kuk, kimeche ke empower ning skills acheket. Amu ngalen much isir inam kalamit anan much inam iyai kasi ing keung'ung. So achek makikere ng'alek chebo education missing, kikere skill based. We empower you on skill based. A good hairdresser ingen mi kosishek che different. Ko mi age nekilen cosmetology, noto ko cosmetology ineti ng'alek chebo sumek ak nebo beauty. Ko mi age nekilen hairdressing kityo. Ngimache inai ng'alek chebo sumek ko kele 6 months kityo kokaitar. Ngimache ng'alek chebo beauty kityo ko 6 months, lakini ngimache combine ko 1 year kokaitar ng'alek chuto. Koketau kenet kora ng'alek chebo cherani. I don't know how we call cherani. Koketau kenapishe. So angot ngimache inapishe ngolin bar senda olin nyo kamwangi kenetin kenyoru skills. So yes, more on skills. Agane I emphasize ng'alek chebo skills amu ongen skills, Lebanese skills, art, it pays. So you don't need to wait for a white collar job or wait for another opportunity, wait for a politician to give you anything. I think tumiziki gasi, amizi empower the gasi to neck it is very easy.
Personally, I started doing beauty cosmetology because it was my passion to deal with the beauty and hair making, and it does not need a lot of work. It's very easy, and when you start studying, you can start your own business. It's because you are self-employed. Aw kamwache amwachi kora lagokab Kalenjin chemakanye ngalekab beauty kole ngalekab beauty ko kararanen mising ako mandai ngalek chechang.
Tomo kechepun komito kito nekilen skin testing. Kiaun kikinet biik kole kiait skin testing amu people react differently in different products. So kikitau ngalek chebo skin testing. So we make sure we minimize any kapsa ngalek chebo reaction mami ngalek cheu joto. We try as much as possible magenyor ngalek cheu joto. Chang ngalek chebo challenges korok. Challenge nebo kai ko capital base. Gomende capital kumaakse kasit is kora. Another two, getting professionals to work for you. Work challenge kora. Another thing is also managing those professionals. Another thing, getting the right products. Egu challenge kabisa. Ngomende network ni kararan inyoru a lot of challenges along the way. Lakini as you learn inaite kitu agi agwe price magi. In the next 5 years, my biggest plan in every county, in the headquarters, in every county, me saloon, I will make school in every county in this country. Amu kimiji wrong in many years, kimiji international. So kita une ga koro ke tar ngale chepa koro singe vendi olene, wa ke tar da, wa ke je kwet sao gitu. Our school go recognize. Kaya gitu ne legit aja kan. Magibigyan nga like chibang taro amu aja chegingen gitu me ground. So aja we are registered with Tibet, registered with NITA. So ngale jutugul ya. Mangisi tu kita nega meja legibi obua nirani chiba olinyo ago anyone omete ngale kita chenga obua ke net ke kasi ni pa.
Kainaik chuk ko Isaac Kemutai Tubei, sigindetab Baringo County, abunu komasta nebo Eldoret constituency ak ameng'unen Mumberes ward nekilen Mumberes Maji Mazuri ward. Ane ko amkulima, ko kabatindet nebo tugab chego ako kora nebo rurutik alak cheu biasinik ak bandek. Eng yoto ko ma akabatindet kityo. Kora ko kikomuch kokono kabatik Mumberes kasit ketoretkei eng ngalekab management chebo Mumberes Cooperative Society. Ako kikono kasit oek chairman nebo Mumberes Cooperative Society. Akobo sobenyu ko amuche amwa ole eng tai ko sigindet anda ko ameng'unen Baringo County, ko kingosicho sigikchuk ko netai ko kikisikcho Kitale ako kikimuch keu koroni atinye kenyisiek 2. Ara somanenyu tugul ko kitoune Mumberes sukulit nekile Soimining. ole kiasoman akoi kilas somok. Ko kiwendi amu ki sukulit nekilel ko kitom koit kilas 4 kebiro transfer anyo Equator Primary School. So ko kianyatestai ak somanenyu akoi kilasitab 8. Ko kiayai tiemutik ako kiayai komyeit kekuro Tenges High School. Ko kiabayai en Tenges High School kong'eteke form 1 akoi form 4. Ako anyun history nenyu kidogo ko mach kowalat amu kiachome biashara ako tun anyoru anyun maket nebo ng'alekab kabatisietab chego. Kiakose achome ng'alekab teta amu akot babanyu nguni ko kichome boisietab kabatisiet nebo tugab chego. So kenyitab 98, 97, 98, 99 ko kicham atoreti sigikchuk aibe chego koba barabara. Amache amwa ale ki system nekibo Mumbires Cooperative Societies ko kitokobo boisiek. Ki boisiek nguni kisekeregistan en bylaws chekimi siekwa member ko kilasima itinye imbaret ak itinye title ioneni imbaret siekwa member nebo Mumbires Cooperative Society. Ko en kenyisiek choto ko kiamuch achamchinen ng'alekab kijanaek kobit keregistan koik akichek members amu kokakotunis chi akakoik independent komoche koteleldochigei. Ko kiamuch awo tuiyosiekab cooperative society aka areisen ateb en tuyet ale amune simakichomwech biik chemengech keregistangei keiku independent. Ko kiachamchinen ng'alek cheu cho akoi 2003 ko kitun keyai tuyet neo nekibo vijana en betusiek choto nekiayum anda kiamuch keyumgei kijanaek chekikikurgei the whole zone, kijanaek cheki karibu 300 ako kikituye Soimining Primary School. Ko kikiyai tuyet nekibo kijanaek kotomo keba amu kiakolekitit tuyetab general nebo cooperative societies. So ko kingeyai tuyet kai ko kitun kekono awasoman memorandum nekikokikoshinechi ko ki kijanaek asikobit anya presenten en tuyetab general meeting. Ko en nwokindo en 2003 ko kiamuch apresenten magutikab kijanaek ako kiyan tuyet neo nebo Mumbires General kole kakiyat kiwatosiek asikobit akichek keincluden biik chemengech ak keregistan. Kicham keregistani nguni boyot kekuren member A, ko kijanaek ko ki member B, C, D ako testai konamgei ak boyot nekitinye kijanaek chesire ko kiwendi akot nambait akoi E amu kikiregistanin en kainetab kwandang'ung. So en 2003 ko kikimuch ketar process anda registration nekikitinye kainaik chekilen A ak B ako kikimuch keregistan biik chemengech chekichutu konyokoyoe ng'alekab dairy. Ko kitun kekur ng'alekab uchaguzi nebo cooperative society en 2012 nekikiyoe general overhaul, yani kikiwole kandoinatet nekimi en betusiek chon. So ko kingebwa cooperative amu ki by then ko kintekenyekeyoen uchaguzi headquarters anda cooperative yu kimi. Ko kikikuregei asikemwa kele ngoba biikab zone nekile koba taban yun, koba nebo zone nekile koba taban asikobit kechakuan biik 9 cherepresenteni members en society. So ki en zone nyu nekikuren block 4 ko kikimuch keproposeno ako kikichakuana. Ko yoto anyun ole kitoune ng'alekchuk chebo leadership en cooperative society nebo Mumbires en kenyitab 2012 mwezi wa 5 tarehe 11. Ko kingoborchinigei amoche anyor kandoinatet en Mumbires Cooperative Society komi magutik chechang chekiakere ale takibwalet. En iman en somanet ko kimataitu mising amu kingataren form 4 ko kimamuch atestai, lakini en ng'alekchuk amu kiachome ng'alekab kandoinatet ko kiatinye tugun chechang chekiakere ale takiwal. Netai ko kianyamuch awal system nekimi. For example, ki en ng'alekab tuyosiek ak ng'alekab uchaguzi chekikiyoe ko kimekeyoe kole kiyoitoi raini, abwoti ale kibendi tai bwana Joash komaaroru, but and in 2012 ko kianyo korok ak kinyasetelen amu kimonget ale en cooperative ko ne nemakat keyai. Amache ibwat inan ile kakamwa en tai ale kikakiyai kit nekele overhaul. Ko overhaul ko kikamanda committee tugul chekimi sokolu. Kwa hivyo kikibwa biik sokolu champions chekimekinget kele cooperative society kekwerito ano. Lakini kingekonon ng'echeretab chairmanship ko kiokilgei ako mamach amwa ale mi kiy norerwoni. Ako ng'olyot netai nekiamwa akamwoi the new incoming members board alechi leye kakekonech kirokto ako konyek tugul komoche koker walet nekakiibu konyo Mumberet. Ko kiamwa ng'olyot nekialechi biik Mpiamba board chekichutu alechi leye atko makimuch kewal Mumberet ini atwa makimuchi kewal kiy tugul okany akot kewal ateptab arrangements chebo office ni. Ko kialechi ongetoune korok kewal face nebo ne nebo office. Kanyamwaun bwana Joash alechi ng'oliondono inegei ko nekiib walet en betut nebo tai ne akoi nguni koune Mumberet. Amu kingewal sitting arrangement ko onget ole okwek en cooperative societies kobwoni members. Ko ngobwoni members konyokomoche konai progress anan kobwoni ng'alekwak chebo ukulima chenyokotebei en society. So ko kinam kobwa wakulima ako kingowektogei gaa ko kiibe ujumbe nelen kokowalak Mumberet. Akot kurget no kokimondoen ko kikewal betusiechu kimondoen kurget age koteb kole. Ng'echeret no kiteben chairman yo kicham keit kenyoru chairman ko kikeisto kikewal kwano komasta age. Kiwo ng'olyot nebo walet ako kas biik kobotik ne kimach chitugul kowek ako nyokonai kole ne walutiet nekokiliyai kokiwal. Netai ko kikinam ke-rearrangen ng'alekab registration ak mpakaisiek chok ak keyai mobilization ketas members keregistan kwa wingi. Amu kikinget en mind nenyu ak board ko kikinget kele the more the members ko the more the revenue chekinyoru asikobit ko koner cooperative society. Nebo oeng ko kikiyat oratinwek. Kikiyat oratinwek routes chekimekeitchini wakulima. Kabatindet komoche keipchi services kolekitit ak ole menye. Kwa hivyo ki betusiechok ko kikitinye karisiek somok lakini kikitinye oratinwek somok chekiloen. Ki wakulima ko king'etien ole loo asikoib chego. Oret nekikiyat ako nekimokomi chego nekikitoune 250 liters. Ki betut netai ko kikirokotan chego 250 liters. Lakini kingowendi kobeku aroek lo ko kakenyoru litaisiek 1,300 route nekikuren Lelgel Equator route, Boito Lelgel Equator route. Ko Mumberet en kenyisiek choto komi regime nekinye kesucceedeni ko kikakopchei ak Mumberet kobun oeng. Ko kinyekemuch keng'ololchine ak wakulima ak function inoto kikakotabangei ako kikimuch keweke keiku agenge.
Kainaikyuk kekureno Beatrice Kipsang, a manager Mumberet Farmers Cooperative Society. Atinye kenyisiek somok eng society ni kong'ete kesira. Kiasomonchi background academic chechuket ko kiasomonchi ane information technology eng diploma level. Awe aya diploma asomonchi entrepreneurship ak ayai degree level asomonchi business information technology, yani biashara eng IT.
Ko emoni ko ki emetab koristo kaitit akoi betusiekab ra. Ko Mumberet ko kitoigei kobun boisiek chok chebo keny chebo tai. So oname kenyinoto bwana Joash ko kikoner akotesak membership. Kikobwa different management from then. Alen akoi nguni ole ami chairman number 9. Chairman number 9 kong'ete ketoi atkinye en 1972 boisiechu kiche 73. So kokinyo kuno kotestai anyun koner Mumberet. Raini ketinye wanachama 5,000 11 kikimuch kora ketes ng'alekab kabatisiet kong'etegei chego che pengine eng kenyisiek alak ko kicham kerokotoni ndakekwen wakulima 1,100, 500, kikirowen ng'alekab chego en betut chekimuchi kenyoru en betut akoi kenyit age en 2014-2015 ko kikibe akoi 16,000 liters per day.
Ane achame biashara kong'ete sobenyu amun kingomi college ak university ko kiayoe biashara. So kingatar ko kiamache atuiyo biashara ak technology, ayai biashara nebo teknolojia. So kinganyoru advert nebo nekimache manager eng society ini, apply amun kimache requirement chito nekisomanchi biashara ako netindoi skills chebo information technology.
Kainaik kekurenon David Kemboi Kandie, ameng'indetab Mumberes, Baringo County, area nekikuren Kapkechi. Kingokatar kityo sukul 2009 ko already kikanam asole. Kingomi half term alapatoti kibarua amuch aal moita agenge nekibo mzee. Ko kingaal moyatak arip ako kinganyorip after katar sukul anyun nyayochi kasit komie.
Kikimuch keityi amu mpango chekikindene kama board eng ng'alekab trainings. Kikiyochi biik trainings, kikibuilden their capacity koelewan biik kole ngami kelchin, tinye kelchin kabatisietab tugab chego.
Tou kenyitab 2010 atestai akere ale maya kasini, kikotoreto, kiayai maendeleo ne ujenzi akoi dairy ko kiawe asome loan akere ale maya.
Alen mami kiy nebo maana kou komito ng'alekab kandoinatet in place koelewani ng'alekab governance. So kikinyoru trainings, amache amwa binafsi ale kianyoru trainings chechang eng ng'alekab management ako generally ng'alekab governance. Awasoman en cooperative college of which now kianyoru skills chechang akobo ng'alekab management amu kianyoru that privilege asoman en cooperative college. Siku hizi kikewal ni university nebo eng Nairobi. Ko kianyoru kora privilege amanda sang nebo emoni eng ng'alekab kufanya benchmarking eng ng'alekab governance. So kianyoru privilege awo emetab Netherlands and keyai benchmarking. En 2014 nekingaweke let anyun ko kanyoru more skills ako kiamuch aib walet neo en this cooperative society. Netai bwana Joash ako naboibochini ko walet en ng'alekab governance amu kingait bitonin ko oleyoitoi uchaguzi ko tofauti ak ole kiyoitoi en Mumberes. Namache amwa ole kikoik a game changer en Mumberes ako meko Mumberes inegei. En koibatek kwa jumla ako en sai ko expanden kokwo emotinwek alak. Amu ki en tai ko kikiyoen uchaguzi headquarters kikibwoni asinyekepchei wakulima kulingana ak zones chebunu. En 2012 kenyitab 2012 mwisho ko kikiyai strategy nebo cooperative society ne kikimwa kele kimache keite kenyitab strategy nekikiyai ko nekibo kenyisiek 5 kekonu roadmap kele kimache en kenyisiek 5 kotara kokakeit ano chekchok tara kakotesak netya. Kwa hivyo konokomwaun atkai tai ole kinyeketoune kinoisi anda kinet wakulima akobo ng'alekab ole kiyoitoi kabatisiet nekararan ako ole kikitoune ko kikinet wakulima kelechi ukulima nebo ng'alekab chego oker chitugul kama biashara amat kotakany kityo keib kityo kou boisio age tugul kityo amu kakobetun kiy nekeyoe ukeib kou biashara. Kikinam kora kinet biik kojoinen SACCOs anan ko benkishek asikobit kosaven. Kikeny kechutwa achek ko kitakeliponi kabatik en tirisha nemi sang yu. Kinyoni treasurer ko kikoitoi rabinik kobun tirisha kulingana ak kiloishekuk chekiibu. So ko kikilei chitugul oyat benki sikobunu rabishek kwok bank akonam kosaven. Ko kiyan kiti, kiyan en kabatik chechang ak kinam kimakilasimishan, lakini kikilechi kityo ibu bank neichome, makilasimishan kele lazima member nebo which bank. So kikikochi uhuru kabatik koib chitugul account number nenyin from whichever bank nechome. Ko agenge en yoto kora ko kinam wakulima konetkei ng'alekab savings whereby iwendi itore imuchi kora isomchigei loan amu kinam iliyai isaven. Mau en tai kinome chi rabinik chin tugul in full ako bakwam kobeku arawet komami kiy nekisaven. Ko noto age kora nekiencouragen wakulima koker kole katkates ng'alekab chego anyoru rabinik chekaikai amuch asaven kotun en tai yu komuchi kotoreto akot en kasomesanetab laak.
Mwayan ale ketoretech kabisa amu kianyoru kelchin en yundok, toretech keipte chekchok koba yundok komi Skyline koteleldowech cooperative akot ndakisome loan en society en Skyline Sacco kotoretech cooperative koteleldowech kama security.
Ki kenyitab 2013 ko kikiyoe ng'alekab changes, walutik chechang chekikiyai, lakini en kenyitab 2014 koraisen chego en Mumberes just abruptly makinae ak achek amu kichok en kakuyetab biik nekinai kole bo maana kabatishetab ng'alekab chego. Ko kiraisen the number nekicham ko average ko 4,000, 5,000 en betut, 5,000 liters per day chekicham kenyoru. Kiwo systematically by 2015 ko kikakeit 16,000 liters. Nekiyachech en 2014 kit age kora nekicher kabatik ko kikinam keal kulait nyo kama wakulima. Kiolchigei kabatikab Mumberes kulait anda ko chilait nebo 10,000 liters. Ko kingosukan kityo ako kokuyo wakulima kole ngakimuchi keyochigei tugukchok komakitegemeane chi, ko kiba age tugul kokachergei akobo kotes kabatishetab ng'alekab dairy. So noto age kora nekitech kingenam keinstollen kulaishek ak kesom biik kele ngitinye chegab saa 8 ko iibu kora sikotesun melekto en tai.
Asa ane kora ko kikotoreto amu iibe cheguk mami betut nekelen kakiweku lyon imetusaidia. Mami beshet nekakile moibu chego kora ana olyain imetusaidia.
Nebo oeng ketinye challenges akobo ng'alekab oratinwek.
Ngopiman mkulima eng route anyoru eng office because savings in cloud. Nikibo semi digital ko kimokotindoi cloud. Akot ndabetei ndarorokchini beek ko kakout kuno information menyoru.
Ko kingeteb ngweny kama committee kora keker kele ne chetokiyai asikemuch keimproven chepkondok chebendi loletab mkulima. Kikeny ki cooperative societies kimekiyonchinin koyai biashara. Raini Mumberes kemoche keba achek full swing ng'alekab biashara asikenyoru revenue chebunu sang asikobit kotesak rurutik anda ko chepkondok chekikoini mkulima. Komaketegemeanen chepkondok ichegei chebunu raw material ne chego kou leu. Kwa hivyo koketiem keyai value addition, keyai value added to our milk, kiyai sai yogurt ak keyoe kichobe mursik nekikere kele kebendi tai kebendi kenyoru revenue. Kitinye boisionik alak, biashara alak tutigin kidogo kidogo chekiyoe. Kikemuch kora kebal beek, kedrillen a borehole whereby kioldoi beek, lakini ki main objective ko kikimoche beek chekiboisien as a society. Kikeny ko kikiboisien rabinik chechang keole beek anda keibe keole beek en sang sikobit keranen cooperative. So kikabwatenyo ko netai ko kenyoru beek kyok chebo matumizi. Nebo oeng asikobit kora kealde to the surrounding community kou center inyo nelekit ak biik chemenye area. Nebo somok ko kebe another step forward nekimoche kora kebotolen beek. En chu tugul kemoche asikenyoru revenue whereby karon kakinyoru kiy ak ketes ak tuguk alak chekiyoe. Kitinye agrovet kenyoru faida, kioldoi beek kenyoru faida, kitinye tree nursery kenyoru faida, kikeyat milk bars, kitinye milk bars kora outlet chechok kioldoi chego komi faida, kioldoi ak faida kidogo. Those are some of the areas chekikemuch keyai asikenyoru income. Lengo nenyon neamoche kokuyo wakulima ko kimoche kecheng revenue nebunu sang asikobit chepkondok chu kakisanyanate chu keranene cooperative society, asikobit keweke rabinikab chego ngo kakioldochi processor libone siling 40 en litait, ko cho siling 40 konyokobendi mkulima direct. En setup neo anda ko running of cooperative societies komi kit nekele commission. Commission ini ko kioldochi chego processor 35 anan 40 ko commission nenyone society asikobit keranene society ko siling 5. Nemekelipanen mwanik, mekelipanen mshahara, mekelipanen stimet, mekeyaen kiyoe CSR tugun cheu chon. So kemoche nguni yakiyat age ak kenerye ko rabinik chu kakinyoru chekakiyae biashara keranene boisionik cho kamwa asikowek chepkondok kwa jumla chekakioldochi processor ngu siling 40 koba mkulima direct siling atau siling 40. Simekeleni bas kimoche ikonu siling 5 nekilipanunen mshahara, siling 5 chebo mwanik, siling 5 chebo ne. Abwoti ale iyonchi lengo letu. Kebendi tayo konget ale mekeyai biashara nekararan kenyoru rabinik kelipan mshahara, kelipan mkulima chikchin kole maketilen.
Amune simakikuren Lala amakikuren kainet chalak? Amun kakibe culture nenyo, kakibe gaa, kakeboisie sotet, kesute ak keboisie ketik chobo indigenous chokibo keny chokibo kokoisiek chokicham kosute sotet and that's why kekure mursik makikure Lala.
Kiasomanchi ng'alekab yogurt ak all products chebo chego. Kiagraduaten eng Dairy Institute Naivasha 2019. Kiami korok Mumberes ko kiachitab mkono kityo. Ko kiager ale kaikai abasomanchi ng'alekab chego amu kiacham. Yogurt ko eng biik chechang komaielewani kole yogurt kobo muhimu. Lakini yogurt ko chego cheu chego cha alak. Kichobe yogurt kou mursik lakini culture mi tugun chekeboisie bacteria chekile culture, life culture, starter culture che toreti koik mursik. Ko yogurt tofauti kidogo nebo mursik ak yogurt. Ko amu kindei yogurt sukaruk komakindei mursik sukaruk. Process nebo yogurt keibu chego chekakebiman wenyewe. Ababimani chego ak akere ale chego chu koyome kechoben yogurt. Aibu chego ak nyakechamushan akoi degrees cheyamat kokakokilen bacteria nabo mionwogik. Aya kiyo chechu akoi 90 degrees. Yait 90 degrees kekulen chekile rapid cooling ikoititi haraka sima fomen kirimit akoi 45 degrees kende anyun life cultures ichoe. Yekinde life cultures iholden ikany koruiyo akoi saisiek 12. Bas yeitu asubuhi kokakoek yogurt ikulen ako kepackagen. Cho ko probiotic yogurt makitestoi logoek. For now makitestoi lakini kitinye hamu kechop akoi chekitesyini logoek. Ko muhimu chebo yogurt ko tinye kora ng'alekab healthy boosteni health purpose. Boosteni ku biik chamatinye immune system ko boosteni yogurt. Ako mi anyun kora ko yogurt kotinye nutrients tugul. Akot biik chatinye digestive system problem kotoreti yogurt. Kichobe mursik ak process as in kiibu kora chego chekororon ak kechamushan ako 90 degrees ke holden for some minutes ak kekulen akoi 30 degrees. Ayani ale akot chegab gaa kotam kokuleni biik akoi kochamcham kole komakobele ngelepta ko 30 degrees choe. Inde life cultures ak ikany incubate for 12 hours. Ngitu asubuhi ko kakorurio chego. Kesuti anyun sotet ele ba echek. Kisutyini sotet komie. Biikab kutit kochome chego chekakisut. Abwoti ale kit neyoe keeku tofauti ak biik alak ko noe.
Alen tun kakeit ak kemuch keachiven ko Mumberes koeku one of the well-paying cooperative society kwa mkulima. Akot nguni keng'ololi ko Mumberes kondoi eng Baringo County eng lipanet nebo chego. Abwati ale kitinye trophies kwa kechut ofisitab manager utaona trophies ambaye tumetunukiwa kwa kuweza kulipa mkulima bei ya juu.
IBC certifies that the candidate who
Look professional with GoDaddy. Let's say there are 2 new emails in your inbox. One from a legit-looking business, and one from whatever this is. Customers only open emails they can trust. Get a domain with a matching professional email so your business actually looks like a business. Earn your customers' trust at GoDaddy.com.
has been duly elected, the President of the Republic of Kenya is Uhuru Kenyatta.
An unlikely victory that even the duo admitted in not so many words, coming on the back of a fight of their lives as they sought to ward off grave charges at the International Criminal Court, following the 2007 bungled presidential election. But this was only the culmination of a checkered journey that had seen the duo come together and part ways at different points in their careers.
I haven't cried in years, and it's only my mother who is here today who can attest to that.
Legislator Moses Kuria is the outgoing member of parliament for Gatondo South, the constituency of President Kenyatta, a key beneficiary of the Uhuru wave in the region. In the 2 elections, Kuria has since parted ways with the president as part of the grand fallout in the Jubilee government. An erstwhile ally of Uhuru, he traces the journey of the Uhuruto story to 1995, in the final decade of Daniel Arap Moi's rule.
Among the people that Moi trusted with the Uhuru project was William Ruto. Yeah. So Joshua Kurei and William Ruto were the people who were tasked by Moi to chaperone Uhuru's entry into politics. Obviously, I think Moi had his own succession designs, for his last term. So that project was very important for him.
Kuria is now a Chama cha Kazi gubernatorial candidate for Kiambu County and claims that William Ruto had been detailed by Moi to teach the young Kenyatta the ropes of Kenyan politics. Ruto was already in the thick of Kenya's murky politics, having made his controversial entry through the infamous Youth for Kanu 92 or YK92 lobby group, which pushed for Kanu's re-election in the country's first multi-party election under Moi. In the subsequent election in 1997, Uhuru would contest the Gatondo South parliamentary seat on the back of a strong anti-Kanu sentiment in the region. But Moi, the self-declared professor of politics, had more tricks in his bag. In 1999, the then so-called Mr. Fix-It of Moi's regime, that is Mark Tor, was prevailed upon to step down as nominated MP to pave way for Uhuru Kenyatta. Ruto's allies say even then, the current DP was still by Uhuru's side.
Even when he failed on that, when he didn't get to parliament, it was William Ruto who actually did the heavy lifting to that culminated in Mark Tor. The late Mark Tor was a very close friend of mine. And I got this from Mark Tor, we were very close, to actually help Uhuru to get to parliament after Mark Tor resigned. That was 1999. So by that time, Uhuru and Ruto were inseparable.
Kanu infrastructure was handed over to Uhuru. Ruto happened to be one of the key players of the Nyayo infrastructure. Biwot, Kulei, all of them, Gideon Moi, all right? So Uhuru just inherited the Moi infrastructure.
There are different accounts as to how Uhuru Kenyatta took over the leadership of KANU, but the bottom line is that they were together in Kenya's grand old party with William Ruto, who had since become a member of parliament, having won the Eldoret North seat in the 1997 general election. And so, even when Uhuru ran and lost the presidential race in 2002, Ruto was one of the politicians by his side when he conceded defeat, following Mwai Kibaki's historic victory.
I accept the choice of the people, and in particular, now concede that Mr. Mwai Kibaki will be the third president of the Republic of Kenya.
If it was a job, it could have ended in 2002. Because after 2002, Moi was no more. Moi was out of power. Moi had left, but they still stuck together up to, again, we now go out to 2004, 2005, during the Kanu elections in Kasarani, when William Ruto was elected, now post-Moi, when Uhuru was elected chair, and William Ruto was elected Secretary General.
The true Ruto was the 2007 Ruto, 5 years down the line.
The two would remain together and eventually found natural allies in Raila Odinga, who had since fallen out with Mwai Kibaki, following the disagreement over the controversial Memorandum of Understanding that Odinga and his team accused Kibaki of trashing. Uhuru, as opposition leader, with Ruto and other key figures in KANU, joined Raila faction of government in rejecting the then proposed constitution in the November 2005 referendum.
Uone Wakenya wako wapi, na ni wakina nani utaweka kando, na ni wakina nani wanakudanganya.
But with a new election looming in 2007, the duo parted ways for the first time, as Uhuru chose to back Mwai Kibaki's re-election bid under the Party of National Unity in the face of a formidable threat by Raila Odinga, who had since converted the Orange movement into a potent political juggernaut, and that is ODM. Ruto chose to throw his lot with Raila Odinga, becoming a consequential member of the Orange Party and its kingpin in the Rift Valley region.
Kalenjin elders held a meeting, a very big meeting in Eldoret, and they summoned William Ruto, and they asked him, are you going to join us? I said, no, I want us to support this old man. I have agreed with Uhuru, and we know how we will tame him and his people. So please give me the blessing, I cross over and work with the Kibaki. And the elders told him, my friend, you are too late. Now we are in Kiboswa. The next minute we'll be in Kisumu. We are just knocking. Yeah? And that's how Ruto reluctantly, quite reluctantly, worked with Raila against Uhuru and Kibaki.
But that election was about to redefine the relationship of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto for years to come. The disputed presidential election outcome plunged the country into one of its darkest political moments yet, as ethnic bloodletting, looting, and widespread violence engulfed various parts of the country. At least 1,300 people were killed in the ensuing mayhem, and more than 600,000 others displaced from their homes. A frenzied international mediation effort eventually quieted the chaos, leading to the formation of the Grand Coalition government.
We do have a deal.
Vile sasa wananchi mmekubaliana tufanye kazi kama wananchi pamoja, basi tuelekee huko na tuache fitina.
Tunataka kusahau yaliyopita. Najua kuna wengine watasema tio, mbona Raila amefanya hii, amekubali hii, lakini Kenya ni muhimu zaidi kushinda Raila au mtu mwingine.
After the Grand Coalition government and our differences emerged with our party ODM, Honorable William Ruto and a team that he leads, we walked out of ODM and joined PNU.
But for Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, the real drama was yet to begin.
Mr. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
It soon became clear that the International Criminal Court, which was until then an unknown entity in the country, had trained its eyes on Kenya, with frequent visits by its then chief prosecutor, Louis Moreno Campo.
Thank you for your presence here.
And eventually on 15th December 2010, Ocampo finally unveiled his mysterious list of 6 people who had been fingered over their alleged roles in the 2007-2008 political election violence.
He authorized the police to use excessive force against civilians in Kisumu and Kibera. They were shooting and killing more than 100 people that they didn't identify as supporters of the other party.
Among the 6, 3 were associated with the ODM side, namely former Cabinet Minister Henry Kosgei, radio presenter Joshua Arap Sang, and William Samoei Arap Ruto, who had played a key role in mobilizing the ODM vote in the Rift Valley. On the opposite side was then Police Commissioner Major General retired Mohammed Hussein Ali, the then head of Public Service Francis Mudhaura, and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, opposition leader turned key supporter of President Mwai Kibaki. Facing an existential threat, Uhuru and Ruto were about to be brought together again by fate.
We brought together elders from the Keljin nation and elders from the Kikuyu nation who sat together and agreed. And by the way, William Ruto had refused to be the running mate. He wanted to run as president, Uhuru to run as president, and then they come together in a runoff. And I remember telling the deputy president, my friend, if you can do it in a runoff, you might as well try it in the first round. In any case, if you don't get it in the first round or even in that runoff, you'll be in The Hague. So you either agree now to come together and work towards victory, or you hang separately.
The glue that brought these 2 people together outside politics was the ICC indictment. And the ICC was both local and international conspiracy to lock out William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, who were serious competitors in the 2013 general election, and to give a through pass to Raila Odinga.
A growing consensus was building around the 2 politicians that they had no choice but to come together.
There was one Harambee, if you remember, for the Mau evictees at Pan Africa Hotel. And that is the beginning of the new phase of their life. So that time they're still talking, reproachments, pole. Then this Harambee, which happened to have been somewhere around 2011, if I'm not wrong, or 2009, I remember. Ruto made the thinkable move and invited Uhuru to preside over the Harambee for Maui victims. And Ruto was fought by his people. How can you invite our enemies? How can you do this? And Uhuru was viciously fought by both the Kikuyus, the Gema, within now the Kibaki side of government, but also by his coalition partners. Now William Ruto now goes to his people to tell him that he has decided to work with Uhuru Kenyatta. Remember, they have now the ICC issue on their neck. Oh, and they could not understand. How can you take water, instead of pumping it down to the lake, you are pumping it up the mountain? They couldn't understand. That's the analogy that the Kalenjin elders again used. But he really tried, and he convinced them that this is the best thing for them. Let them work together. We have got ICC here. In any case, whether we win or we don't win, this is the only formula that we can be able to have our people to live together.
All options were now on the table. They had toyed with the idea of running for the top seats themselves, but the case was proving to be an impediment. Some in their ranks weighed the possibilities of enticing some of their allies to go for the top jobs, with a view to shielding them from the ICC monster. The names of Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo Musyoka featured prominently.
At one time, in a meeting where I was, Kalonzo Musyoka told Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto that, you'll only be jailed for 10 years. So let me become the candidate, the president. Then after 10 years, you'll come out. And I remember that meeting ended there and then after that statement. It was the most reckless, irresponsible statement.
By the time they were pushed to their core and agreed to work together, one thing was top of their minds: fighting the ICC cases. But their publicly stated political narrative was uniting their communities that had viciously fought each other in the previous elections.
In their merger was the ICC case. The ICC case was a political case. It was not a legal case. So we have agreed in principle that we must deal with it politically. How do you deal with it politically? We must be the ones running the next government. I don't want to go into the details.
They formed themselves into a formidable political coalition. They ran a highly charged campaign with anti-Western sentiments, selling the narrative that Kenya's former colonial powers were seeking to recolonize the country through the ICC cases.
Na kwa marafiki wetu wa nje, ningependa niseme hivi. We as Kenyans have gone through very difficult and trying times. But we ourselves also have the solution to our problems. We are now under a new constitutional dispensation that has been passed by Kenyans. And the fundamental basis of that constitution is to give our people the freedom and the right to choose their elected representatives. We are asking those who are going around in courts thinking that they can elect the people of Kenya through the court or through the legislature or through the executive. We are telling them through the constitution, Kenyans themselves have the right to elect their own leaders.
The unlikely victory brought home many questions. Was it a genuine reconciliation, or was it a marriage of convenience that will soon be tested by the reality of running a government?
I, Uhuru Kenyatta, in full realization of the high calling I assume as President of the Republic of Kenya.
But the Uhuruto pair gave the country no time for guesswork. Instead, they hit the national headlines with what appeared to be a new style in statecraft. They wore matching shirts and ties, and like true lovebirds, finished each other's sentences. They appeared to mirror the Barack Obama-Joe Biden fairy tale that was unfolding thousands of kilometers across the Atlantic.
Actually, the election of 2013 was a peace dividend election. It was not a love affair. It was people sacrificing for the sake of peace of this country.
We thought we had arrived in terms of a really shared presidency, not shared constitutionally, but the two fellows who cared so much about the country, given the past that we had come from, and the communities they represented. We thought that was a very good thing.
So close were the two that at one point, when the president left the country to attend his ICC case, he signed a public decree to leave his deputy in charge. But it didn't last long. Unbeknown to the public, suspicion and discontent was already brewing in the Jubilee House.
Of course, there was really a desire to change things and to transform. And they worked very well, 2013, 2014, 2015. I think around 20, when I personally started sensing there's something, was in 2016, when Uhuru's case was dropped at the ICC ahead of Ruto's case.
I was involved in the president's campaign in 2016, 2017, and I know he was fed up, right? But it was between a crocodile and a shark. On one side was Ruto, and the other side was Raila. So he had to choose which one should eat him up.
From the time the president won his second term, the second election, his advisors were ready to have a deal with Tinga for the next 5 years, and isolate and kill completely the dream of Jubilee Party of uniting the country, of William Ruto succeeding the president within the 10-10.
The sense of betrayal was setting in, and things were no longer at ease.
We're not using him to get the 2017 vote. We could have got that vote even with another combination. We could have got that vote even with Luias, for example, with Eugene Wamalwa running mate.
It was obvious who was preferred, and the preferred was Eugene. Yeah, it was. Remember the first meeting when Eugene was told to be running mate. I actually had come from Meru. If you go back to your records with Uhuru, when we opened the Central Bank Center in Meru town, and when we landed, we went for a talk at KU. And from that, when we were talking with James Wang to the children, from that talk, Uhuru told me to call Eugene. And we went somewhere. And Eugene refused to be running. I remember some people very close to Uhuru. Some of them were his relatives. One guy asked me at the Jacaranda Hotel, why are you trying too hard to save Ruto? Kwani Uhuru cannot get another deputy? I said, hello. That I knew publicly there's no problem. There's no even indication of any problem. But this guy who is actually a very close relative to Uhuru asked me, you mean Uhuru cannot get another running mate, even if William Ruto is taken away? Then I started saying now here, there must be some people who are corroborating this thing.
Until 2017 election is when cracks emerged. And in all that was just the beginning of the common thing in Kenyan politics, politics of deceit, politics of betrayal. And this you'll find it in every government.
Is it before or after the election?
No, just before the election. Even there were people who were thinking of, do we replace William Ruto? with Kalonzo Musyoka.
But in the run-up to the 2017 general election, the duo put on a brave face. They denied any suggestion that all was not well in the coalition. They will shoot their campaign videos together, made light of the awkward moments before the camera. They were here to show that the 2013 spirit that catapulted them to victory was still alive and well. But in the background, disquiet was growing apace on both sides.
He would line up permanent secretaries aligned to him. He would line up parastatal heads aligned to him. And they had targets to take money to Karen on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. And it was not sustainable. So I think by the time we were coming to the 2017 election, the boss was fed up.
Or you can at least sum it up into two. One was greed. Greed. And two was using blackmail as a weapon in the political arena against the president.
I wouldn't call it corruption. I call it, rivalry in terms of influence. Yeah, they wanted to say time is running out. When are we going to control this government? Yeah, this shared government. Why are you sharing? It's supposed to be all ours. So it's not really corruption. Don't think that it's because they were cleaner than Caesar's wife. Their intentions were very clear.
There was a game, there was a plan, there was an instruction where somebody of the magnitude of the office of the deputy president would pick up the phone call and call junior procurement officers and give them orders about how to procure and about who to award tenders.
We have to accept that at a personal level, the deputy president has done well for himself. He's a tough bargainer. He's become a very rich man at a personal level. I mean, I don't know, they talk about 5 choppers. He admitted the other day to 2,500 acres of land in Taita area. And he's a rich man, that's for sure.
How is it possible for somebody to sustain a campaign for 5 years without conducting a fundraiser out of his pocket, 30 million a week, which is 120 million a month, which is 1.5 billion a year, which ends up to 7.5 billion to date out of his pocket. Hata kama anauza kuku or its eggs or whatever, it is not possible.
From the time the president was sworn in Kasarani, the president started implementing the politics of deceit and betrayal and humiliation.
According to Murathe, a key ally of President Kenyatta, Ruto's political ambitions had got the better of him and were now rocking the boat from within.
He started scheming the 2022 immediately after they won the 2013 election, all right? To a point where post-2017, there were even fears about the person of the president.
When I met them first, when I met President Uhuru Kenyatta at the memorial service of the father of Mudavadi, he asked me and his people asked me, why are you fighting the deputy president? I told them that one day you people will assist me to fight him because he's in a rush for gold. You don't do that. You go slowly by slowly. It takes time. There is no shortcut to leadership and there is no shortcut to riches.
But we realized the president was implementing in his second term. He needed us in the first term. He needed us to cross the bridge in 2017. And once he crossed the bridge, he said, now I'll remove the ladder. And by the way, he did that.
The maximum number of...
With the 2017 general election drawing closer, both sides seem to have agreed on a temporary truce to allow them to cross the hurdle of an election they both needed to win for different reasons. This is when Uhuru made the remark that would haunt his succession game plan through his final years as president.
Mimi nawaambia kitu kimoja peke yake, ya kwamba wagojee miaka 10 Uhuru amalize kazi yake, alafu wagojee miaka ingine 10 Ruto amalize kazi yake, alafu sasa wakitaka watakuja sasa waunde yao, ambaye watakuja kusema ni nani atakuwa ndani, nani atakuwa nje.
You know, yangu 10 na yako 10 could have two reasons or two meanings. One, it could have been genuine. That kind of working together, sharing past, going to ICC together, now running government together, just to show how close they were, you know, especially being under attack from the opposition led by Raila Odinga. So it could have been genuine. He meant it. But it could also have meant you are trying to get Ruto and his people to think you are with them, to support you until you get 2017.
This would have been the moment to begin parting ways, now that they were across on the other side. But a Supreme Court decision nullifying the results on September 1st, 2018, threw the entire Jubilee House into chaos.
As a Supreme Court, they cannot overturn the will of the people. Lakini Maraga thinks he can overturn the will of the people. We shall show you in 60 days that the will of the people cannot be overturned by one or two individuals.
4 people and overturned the will of the people so that the will of a few people in court can prevail. We want to tell them it is not the Supreme Court that is supreme. It is the Kenyan people that are supreme.
Arambe! A recent leaked audio featuring the deputy president has served to shed light on the goings-on at the moment of confusion as the reality of the verdict sank in.
Watu wengi walikuwa nafikiri sasa ikisemekana turudie uchaguzi ati tutawachana na Uhuru. Sijui kwa sababu gani watu walikuwa naamini hivyo. Lakini mimi nilitoka hapa kwa ofisi na nilikuwa nimemwambia Uhuru, hii chunga hapo iko Kiingereza. Akaniambia hapana, nimechunga kabisa, kila kitu iko sawa. Kulikuwa na mtu mwingine anaitwa Nje, sijui nani. Mwisho mlango kumbe ilikuwa wazi, wengine wakaingia ndani wakaharibu. Si ndio? Mimi nikatoka hapa, nikafika State House. Kufika State House nikakuta rafiki yangu wako hapo. Sitaki kusema alikuwa anafanya nini, kwa sababu sisi ni wazee. So huyo sasa hii maneno sijui nini, mimi sitaki, mimi nataka kwenda Ichaweri, wewe sijui sasa mimi sitaki, wacha tuachane na hii kitu. Mimi nikamwangalia, nikamwambia wewe, ni vile tu nilikuwa na heshima, ningemchapa kofi.
Ndio mimi nasikitika hapo nikiona wengine ngwe mtu amekuwa huko amepewa kazi, badala ya kazi ni mdomo. Alafu sasa mimi tutafanya na kwa nini hukufanya wakati ulikuwa huko?
Until the unthinkable happened on 9th March 2018, when on a seemingly normal morning, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his perennial nemesis Raila Odinga buried the hatchet and shook hands on the steps of Harambee House. That development threw off both friend and foe on either side of the political divide.
We have come to a common understanding, an understanding that this country of Kenya is greater than any one individual, and that for this country to come together, leaders must come together.
In the life of any nation, a time comes when the people and their leaders must audit the progress made toward the attainment of the goals and prayers laid out at the founding of the nation.
While the handshake was styled by the duo as a peace pact and a roadmap for long-term stability in the country, Ruto and his allies saw a hidden agenda, and that is the 2022 succession matrix.
The moment the handshake happened on the 9th of March on the steps of Harambee House, Ruto's future was almost buried. What had seemed so obvious changed with that handshake. Because I do not, in my estimation, think there was going to be anything that was going to stop Ruto from the presidency until the handshake happened.
After 2017, there was closing of ranks between family and close friends. And now Uhuru could not withstand. Because before, if family was against, close friends could give him emotional support. If close friends were misbehaving, he used to turn to family against the whatever. Now, after 2017, they morphed into one, and Uhuru could not resist anymore. So he backward.
A point reached really in our government, in the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta, when he shook hands with Raila, we all breathed a sigh of relief. And you remember, from that time on, it was possible to pass bills in Parliament without depending on, that side, so-called Tanga part of the Tanga part of Jubilee, because we were being blackmailed by Duale, we were being blackmailed by Ruto.
The president would call a PG at State House, and he was busy demobilizing and mobilizing people not to attend a PG called by the party leader, a party parliamentary group meeting. He was busy stopping guys even at the gate of State House to turn them back with promises of money.
The handshake had now become the new front line in the Uhuru to proxy war.
If you are not going to table this document...
With the NASA team on board, Uhuru's legislative agenda in Parliament had been rescued in the face of rebellion from the Ruto team that had since acquired the name Tanga Tanga.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
But the parliamentary leadership was still dominated by Ruto loyalists, with Aden Duale serving as majority leader in the National Assembly and Kipchumba Murkomen playing a similar role in the Senate.
The president came to me face to face and told me, Honorable Duale, you have a split loyalty between me and my deputy. Please make a decision, join me in the war against William Ruto. And I told him, no, I am a Muslim. First I said that I'm a Muslim. What has William Ruto done to me? I joined even this coalition through URP. But above all that I saw in William Ruto was good deeds.
Uhuru cracked the whip in the middle of 2020, ushering in a new phase of the Uhuru to war.
Mr. Speaker, in my previous responsibility as Senate Majority Leader, I did my best to push government business in this House and to defend the President and his administration whenever they came under political attack.
At this point in time,
Duale and the others had been accused of, among other ills, frustrating government bills in the National Assembly.
The president, a point reached that he could not take the blackmail. And if Raila was being used as the weapon for blackmailing him, that, look, you'll not have enough people in parliament to pass any bill, the moment there was a handshake with Raila, that was the end of the blackmail.
The firing of Duale, Murkomen and other Ruto allies such as Professor Kithure Kindiki, Kimani Ichung'wah and Benjamin Washiali from key positions in parliament allowed the president to have his way in both houses on subsequent businesses for the remainder of his time, but it set free an army of critics that would elevate the anti-Uhuru rhetoric into a full-blown public brawl.
At times, I used to wonder, surely, does President Uhuru Kenyatta know what he's doing? Is his intention maybe intended to help Ruto? Because he knows how sympathy politics occurs. Yeah, there is no way you can go and publicly humiliate your deputy and then you don't expect your deputy to accrue political sympathy.
So unusual was the new arrangement in Kenya's politics that Ruto himself would later lament about it at various addresses, including outside the country.
I am the biggest loser when it came to the collapse of Jubilee. I had invested the same way I see that passion in you. I had invested a lot of emotion, a lot of effort in building the Jubilee Party. Unfortunately, we tried. The members of my team who are sitting here, who are members of Jubilee, know that I was the last person to accept that we move out of Jubilee.
The attempt by the handshake team to introduce constitutional changes through the Building Bridges Initiative, BBI, raised the political temperatures even more in the Jubilee House, that was by now only existing by name. With the DP and his allies vehemently opposed to the initiative, and Uhuru and Raila pushing it relentlessly, what was supposed to be a national healing agenda had now become one of the most toxic issues in the country.
I remember one of the most agonizing time we had as William Ruto allies and key leaders around him was how do we approach BBI? BBI, you know, had sweetness, and on the other side, it had some poison. So for us, it was we were at River Jordan when peace be upon him, Prophet Moses was running away from the Pharaoh, and so we were wondering how to cross it.
BBI then, to all observers, and Ruto included, must have been seen for what it was, an infrastructure to help Raila and Ruto and Uhuru get power in 2022, an infrastructure, and certainly not in the interest of Ruto.
With the fallout now almost total, Ruto converted what was by then a growing class narrative of hustlers versus dynasty into what he styled as a revolutionary economic model. He called it bottom up.
Bottom,
describing it as a move to lift the most vulnerable in society out of their poverty. With the bottom-up narrative, he painted his boss President Uhuru Kenyatta and his new-found ally Raila Odinga as out of touch with reality, accusing them of focusing on changing the constitution rather than changing the people's lives.
Defiance is what has built Ruto's hopes, and his attempt to be president, his campaign, I should say, is buoyed by that defiance and rebellion. And BBI is part of the things he did to endear himself to the people.
In the final days of the battle, the focus has now been on Uhuru's Mount Kenya backyard, with opinion polls largely suggesting that his deputy was in pole position to get a majority support. In that vote-rich region, Uhuru has mounted a spirited fight back, openly endorsing Raila Odinga for president, reviving his once dormant Jubilee party, and stringing together a coalition of more than 20 other parties to prepare for the final showdown with a man who was once his bosom buddy, or was he?
I don't even understand when people are making so much fuss about Uhuru abandoning Ruto. It's politics. When it serves me, you are my friend. When it serves you, I'm your friend. When I'm no longer useful to you, that's it. When you are no longer useful to me, that's politics. Politics is not about how you look, how I love you. No, it's not love. Politics is politics. It's about power.
Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
Welcome back to the Supreme Court of Kenya for the afternoon session. The Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court continues to preside.
Thank you very much, and a very good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I think we agreed that we start with the Senior Counsel Mr. Mwite, and then we will have Senior Counsel Mr. Ngatia and Professor in that order.
Madam Chief Justice, and members of the court, please plead with you to bear with me, but we do need you to clarify again that what we are about to listen from my learned senior Paul Mwite and my learned junior, one of my favorite pupils, Mr. Issa Mansour, is not the case that was not admitted. It is a response to your questions.
I thought we settled that.
We take offense to these lectures. We're in
No,
a court
let's
of
leave
law
the
before the
lecture.
Supreme Court.
Let's leave
We
the
are not at
lecture.
the
We
university.
settled that. Please, Senior Counsel, are you the one taking the floor? Okay. Oh, it's Mr. Issa. Please take the floor.
The Honorable, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice, and the Honorable members of this court. My name is Jotham Arua. I'm here to answer a specific question that was addressed to me by the Honorable Justice Lenaola. He had asked a question on behalf of the 4 commissioners. What were they doing at Bomas? We saw them reading some results. Was their walkout an afterthought? That's the question I will be answering. And after that, I will cede the floor to my colleague, Apollo Mboya, and thereafter, Issa Mansour. Madam Chief Justice, the 4 commissioners have explained and clarified in their affidavits that they joined the commission in September last year. They soon found themselves having to operate in an environment in which all decisions were being made by the chair, who was operating apparently on the basis of a settled, firm, but fallacious conviction that all the executive authority of the commission reside in the chair. That heretical position was espoused in this court by none other than my teacher, the Professor Gidu Migai. But my teacher, however, forgot to explain to this court the particulars of the law which vests executive authority on the chairman, but does not do so on the commissioners. Madam Chief Justice, the 4 commissioners have explained that as early as April this year, there were already protests, verbal protests being exchanged as between them and the chairman. And they have annexed series of correspondences to that effect, which are annexed to the affidavit of Juliana Cherera, but I would leave that to be taken up by Cherera's lawyer, Mr. Apollo Mboya. Now, when they reached Bomas, they were assigned menial responsibilities, as this court has been told. Once again, there were protests, but the commissioners took the firm view that it would be responsible for them to let their infightings be made public for fear of eroding public confidence in IEBC during an election year. And it is for that reason that they chose to handle their differences diplomatically. Madam Chief Justice, these matters are contained